Today's topic is you know your profit before you begin. I decided to speak about this topic because this is something that my husband and I were having a conversation, and it was about corporates. And he said something, which is something that I say quite a lot as well, which is, well, yeah, but they know what their profit's going to be at the beginning of the year. In January, they know what their, full year profit's going to be. And so I thought, yes, and that is something that I talk about all the time. And I want to share it with you as well. So for those of you that don't know me, if you've just recently joined the Uncover Wealth community and you're wondering who I am, my name is Annette Ferguson. I am CEO of Annette & Co, UK-based accounting firm. I'm a chartered accountant, certified profit first professional and financial strategist, and I help business owners take home more money from their business for them and their families to enjoy. So when I worked in corporate, I worked both in investment banking and in oil and gas. And when I was in those businesses, we knew at the very beginning of every financial year what our profit was going to be. Every quarter, we knew what our profit was going to be. Every month, we knew what our profit was going to be. And in all honesty, if we did not hit those numbers almost to the penny, there were big, big problems. For example, I remember one February, and now I can't remember the year now, I'd have to calculate it out, but it was a February. And I was working in oil and gas at the time. And during this February, there was a huge change in the weather, which meant a vast, vast change in the price of gas. And with that change in the price of gas, it basically knocked out our forecasting for the month. It completely went amok. And February's actuals came in very, very differently to what we had actually forecast. And that resulted in months of meetings, months of trying to work out how we could have foreseen this, of trying to work out what we could have done differently so that we would have known ahead of time. We could have, warned the market. We could have, released a press release, all these things, because the number for February was so different to what had been expected, what had been forecast. And that is what happens in a corporate setting when the actual numbers are very different to the forecasted numbers, to the predicted numbers, to what you've said you're going to achieve. However, for many, many small businesses, this fundamental concept that exists in corporate settings has not been pulled in to a small business setting. In fact, for most small business owners, they don't even look at forecasts and budgets very often, if at all. It's often just a kind of, I'm going to put my finger in the air and I'm going to hope that we do 100K next year or 1 million next year or 10 million next year, wherever that sits for you. But that's typically the level of financial forecasting and financial planning that happens in small businesses. And I'm saying small up to that 10 million type level. Okay, that's typically what we see. But in corporates, we don't see that. And you might say, well, yeah, they're working with much bigger numbers, but in corporates, they're looking at divisional level. So they're looking at a 1 million or a 2 million pound revenue stream potentially, but they are still doing this work. Okay. And yes, they have lots more people on their team to do it, but they have also lots more moving parts than we do as small business owners. Therefore, for us, it's much, much easier because we, as the owner, can have our hands on the data very, very easily. It doesn't need to churn through an analytics team in order to reach us. Okay, so this is something that, as I said, has not really been brought into small business, but is so incredibly valuable and is so important to actually bring into our businesses. Because we can predict the profit in our business if we understand how the data in our business works, if we gather the data, if we monitor the data, and if we track the data. Okay. And I don't just mean the financials here. I also mean all the other data that exists in your business. Your business is generating hundreds, if not thousands of pieces of data every single day. Either, it might even just be a like on your Facebook page. That is data. Okay. So if you can learn to understand what the data in your business tells you, you start to predict profit and you start to predict it incredibly accurately. But understanding what the data is telling you and then taking a step back from that and understanding which actions happen in your business that drive the data results, and therefore which actions need to happen to change the data results to give you the profitability that you want and need, is where the magic happens. But you need to start digging into the data and the information that already exists in your business. You need to have a profit plan in place to know if you've hit that. And the more that you profit plan, the more that you forecast in your business, also the greater understanding you will have of why you don't hit those numbers or you do hit those numbers and what you need to tweak in the plan going forward. And you'll get to a point where the plan is just tweaked on these tiniest, minutest scales every month, because you are really able to reliably predict what the business is going to do in profit and what your take home will be as a result. And that, in reality, is a holy grail for many, many business owners, because so many people want to know what their take home will be just for themselves and their own personal finances, or perhaps they have a partner or a spouse that is asking them, what are you taking home from this business next month? What is your contribution to our joint spending? And if the answer is constantly, I don't know, as a small business owner, in all honesty, that's not a good enough answer, either to yourself or to anyone else who relies on you to take money home. I don't know is not an answer that people can and should have to accept. So making sure that you start digging much, much deeper into the data in your business, making sure that you have a profit plan in place, means that you can predict the future. It means that you can know next March what your take home will be, because you have that reliable information in your business. Now, I've mentioned a profit plan a few times on this session. For those of you that don't know what a profit plan is basically a forward-looking 12-month financial picture of your business with profitability at its core. Okay, that does not mean that you have to ignore customers and they're not at your core of your business. But if profitability is not a major, major pillar in your business, you're going to be bankrupt quickly. That is the crux of it. So getting a financial forward look in your business, which has profitability as its center point, is incredibly important. And that's what a profit plan is. Now, and once you have your profit plan in place, you can keep digging into the data in your business. You can keep trying to understand the data, because that will only support this idea, this concept, I suppose is the word, that you can predict your profit reliably. Quite frankly, if a business that turns over hundreds of millions of pounds and employs thousands of people can reliably predict their profit for the next 12 months, why on earth, running a small business with a handful of team, can we not? That's just crazy, isn't it? I mean, that just seems a ridiculous question. Of course we can. We've got significantly less moving parts. We've got significantly less things that can change and morph and go out of control than those types of businesses. Therefore, we also can and should reliably be predicting the next 12 months profit in our business. Okay, so that is what I wanted to kind of speak to you about today. If you have any questions on this, if you have any questions on knowing your profit before you begin the month, the year, the quarter, do just ask in the comments, and I will happily answer any questions that you may have. So please do that as well. I will always loop back and ask anything. You can tag me in those comments as well to ask any questions, so that I make sure I get a notification and can see anything that you ask on that. So what I urge you to do is have a think about what you need to know. What data do you need to start pulling out your business so you can reliably predict your profit? Do you need to know your conversion rate, for example, so that you know how many calls you need to get on with prospects that result in a client? And if you know what your conversion rate is, then you know how many calls you need to have in your diary. So what actions do you need to take on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis to get the right number of calls in your diary at the conversion rate that you want to get the revenue growth that you need in order to hit your profit target? How does that work? Working each of the steps back so that you understand, okay, that therefore means I need to track my conversion rates. I need to track the number of call bookings I get. And that is what I need to look at every single week, are those numbers. Okay. So having a look at what drives those that data in your business, what actions need to happen in order to deliver whichever part of it you're looking at, okay? Whichever revenue stream you're looking at, or, looking and saying, okay, this, I want to hit this revenue target this year. That therefore means that I need to have X number of launches. What month are they going in? What spend is associated with that to ensure that they are profitable? What's your ad spend? What's your Stripe costs? What's your extra VA's time, or your launch manager's time, or your community manager's time? Whatever that is, layering everything in, working out the actions, and bringing it back to deliver that profit on the dot that you say that you want to deliver. Okay, so it's all about the back calculation. And the first few times, you may not get everything right. You may be way off the first few months that you try and do this. But with everything, practice is where you get much better, and where you actually, get to that place where you can actually predict reliably the profit every single month, quarter, and year in your business. And I'm sure that you'll agree that that is a much, much more stable place to be. That is a much more sound financial position to be in as a business owner. So I hope that makes sense to you. Like I say, if you have any questions, do make sure you ask me in the comments. I will happily answer those. But thank you for tuning in today. And I will speak to you all again really soon. Take care, everyone.